If you're over 35 and have ever smoked, you could be at risk. The good news is, there are steps you can take to improve your symptoms. I'm Danica Patrick, and I drive for COPD. Take action today to breathe better tomorrow. Join the movement at driveforcopd.com, take our screening questionnaire today, and talk to your doctor.
Welcome back to Art Scene. We've been talking daddy-daughter dances for Le Bonheur, and now we're talking fashion, art, color, my favorite things in the entire world. I have Rollin Kocsis with me. Rollin, you're a volunteer at the library, aren't you?
I am a volunteer. And
you are a retired art teacher?
Correct.
And you are an artist extraordinaire. I'm telling you, I can't do it justice here, but you've got a show at the library from canvas to silk.
Correct.
Now let me tell you, you need to visit the main library because it's an extraordinary place. But you may not have known they have books. They also have art here. And visiting artists come in and display fabulous things. Rollin, what kind of an art teacher were you? I mean, a really good one, but other than
I hope so. Well, I did a lot of everything, taught a lot of photography, drawing and painting. I was the first art teacher at the Overton Creative and Performing Arts School. When they first started that program back in the late 70s, I was the first art teacher to work with that program. So that was probably the highlight of my career, actually, as a teacher.
Where'd you go to school?
Indiana University and the University of Memphis.
Were you, we love U of M. Were you always drawn to art?
Always. I wanted to be an art teacher since I was a little kid.
Teaching is so important. Before the show, I told Rollin about an art class I took, and they never let me out of drawing the first thing. And they took me aside and said, this is not your career path, is it? And thank goodness it was. But you know what? Anybody can make art. I don't know that anybody can make the kind of art that you make. We've got some canvases here, and you're well versed in that, and people are used to canvases. But what I am really, really loving, the silk. How did you get in? How long have you been doing silk?
Well, I've been doing silk for 20 years. We started out, I remember, we had a little workshop, an art teacher's workshop, and they introduced, we all got to do a little scarf or something, and it kind of piqued my interest. And so for the last 20 years or so, I've been off and on doing the silk, and recently have really been devoting my time to doing more silk actually than canvas.
What draws you to the silk away from canvas?
Silk is a very seductive material. First of all, it's beautiful, the colors are rich, but just the application of the dye on the silk, you place a dot of silk, a dot of dye on the silk, and it runs out and spreads.
Is that a big learning process? Because yeah, canvas, you put it there, it stays there, but silk is going to absorb it, and so how long did it take you to learn to maneuver the silk where you,
I'm still learning. At 20 years, and every day I learn something not to do. If you put a little too much, it'll spread over too much if you don't put enough, or sometimes the layering is irregular, and there's all kinds of little things that can happen. What
do you do with the ruined pieces of silk? Because that would kill my soul.
Well, with silk, it's sort of like a one-time only, and if you do make a mistake, you try to correct the mistake within the piece.
How do you do something like this white outline around the tree and the leaves? Everything on here is white outlined. How do you do that?
That's done with a resist, and because silk does have a tendency to spread, before you do anything, you draw out the design with a water-soluble resist, and it hardens and dries. Then you apply the dye, and it's like a fence. And so the dye goes up to the edges of the fence and stops. And so when you wash the silk out, the remaining where the resist was is white.
Now, in pottery, you can paint something and you don't see the color until it's fired. Do you see the color immediately on silk?
Immediately. The only thing is that there will be a slight color shift. Sometimes when you wash it out, it's a little lighter, or what you thought you were getting, maybe a certain violet, it might turn out to be a little different shade than what you had anticipated.
So a lot of it, even if you're versed at it like you, is a lot of trial and error.
It is, and the thing about silk is that it's so easy to make an error. You might be dipping your brush into the dye, and you know how sometimes you might just hit the edge of the,
yes.
and you go, and it goes, whip, and there goes all these little dots on your silk. So
Do you turn it into something?
You try,
It's like,
you try.
Oh, I meant to do that.
Yes, yes.
Do you buy these, like, do you have to hem these, or do you buy them in these sizes?
I buy the blanks. They're sewn in China and Thailand, and I buy them from a source in California.
Can I ask how much a blank piece of silk costs?
It's not as expensive as you might think. I don't want to give all of my trade secrets away, but it's not too bad. It depends on the size and the kind. You have learned that there's all kinds of silk, from China silk, which you're holding there, which is also called habutoi.
And I didn't know how to pronounce that.
That's habutoi. Well, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then there's also a silk charmeuse, and there's a satin silk. I have some of those. It's shiny on one side and duller on the others.
I know that's silk.
And
there's kind of a slubbed silk?
Really, yes. There's a coarse textured silk. So I'm learning. I mean, there must be, what, 8 or 9 different types.
I absolutely, well, I don't know anybody who doesn't like silk. And the colors come out so brilliantly. How do you get your inspiration for your design? Because like this scarf, it's an abstract design. It's just, you know, I could doodle like, here's the difference between artists and the rest of us. I could doodle and it would just be a doodle, but you've got to doodle and this is art.
Well, I think it comes from drawing a lot and just being an artist. One of the sources I use are the 7 Motifs by Best Mogard, and an artist named Walter Anderson used it's the circle, the spiral, the straight line, the wavy line, the S-curve, the zigzag, and by combining these 7 motifs, you can actually draw anything. So I use a lot of the 7 motifs.
I have never heard about the 7 motifs, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking, when I've seen Indian art, when I've seen art from around the world, they all have that.
They all have that. It goes all the way back to Greek art.
With me, it's just squiggles, but...
It is. If you look at it, it's repetition. It'll be the zigzag, or it'll be a straight line that's dotted, or a half circle, and it just goes back.
That's just how you put it together.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
My gosh, that is an eye-opener.
Yes, it is.
If I'd gone to the library, I probably.
For example, like this one is a combination of the spiral. It's a spiral, and it's the wavy line.
Altogether, it looks very good and complicated, but you're right. If you break it down, it's just a series of doodles. You're giving. Now I'm going to have to go out and do silk. What kind of paint do you use?
It's a dye. It's a fiber-reactive dye. Now, there are many different kinds of dyes with silk. Most dyes you have to heat set, but I found a dye that I can actually, it bonds with the fiber. It's a professional industrial strength dye that it works just great. I love it because I don't have to heat set it. But it has to be at least 70 degrees in the room where you do it.
So you can't do it on a cold?
Can't.
In a cold place?
No, and I do all my silk painting in the basement, and if it's cold down there, I try to crank it up, but it usually doesn't get warm enough to do the silk, because the 70 degrees actually does the heat setting, or the setting.
So then do you have to let it dry and then you wash it, or
you let it dry and then you have to wash it and wash it and wash it? Well, when you do the silk, you actually stretch it on a frame, because it has to be held above the surface. Otherwise, it would smash against, you know, the dye would go against whatever it's against.
Have you ever done any silk screening?
Yes. I love silk screen
But this
printing.
is all hand painted.
That's right. And the thing about this is it's drawn directly onto it. There's no pre-planning. You've got to have it in your mind.
And you have to kind of think backwards if you have to do the fence,
yes,
you know, the white part. You kind of have to. It would just be a lot to think about. So I would imagine you would go through an awful lot of trial and error before you would get to this magnificent, fabulous stuff. What do you do with a piece this big? And I keep holding this up because you just have to see it. You've got to get to the library and see this.
Well, what you've got there is, I call that a wall hanging. And I do the larger pieces, and I get a curtain rod, a real nice curtain rod with clips. And you hang it just like a painting in your home. For example, see, this would just go against the...
I love that. I love cityscapes.
Go against the wall, and you just hang it, and you use that.
That looks like Memphis in May. That's Barbecue Fest right there.
Yes, it is. But you hang them on the wall. And actually, you could use that as a sarong. You could wrap that around your body as a sarong. You
know what? You could get one, and you could probably take it to the dressmaker and have a beautiful, like, blouse or skirt or something made out of this.
You could.
It's just phenomenal, the things that you can do. In your show during June at the main library on Poplar. You also have canvases. We've got a few here. So what do you paint on canvases with? Is this oil or? I use
acrylic. I trained with oil, and acrylic is so much faster. But basically this show is about my transitioning from work on canvas to, for some reason I'm just attracted more to the silk now. It's so organic. Well, it's just such a beautiful thing. And then, you know, trying to sell a painting is a difficult thing, even though I've done very well in the past selling work. But I have a huge collection of my own work still in the basement, and it takes up a lot of space. Well, you get some silk, guess what? Fold it up. Here it is. You got about 20. You can have about 20 pieces in it, and it's there. But it's just something new and different, and like I said, it's very seductive, and you can go, you can start it and stop it, and get something to eat, and come back and do a little bit more, and it's waiting for you. Well, I like the fact that the show gives people a lot of options. You know, maybe somebody is drawn to a canvas, maybe that makes sense for them. But then it shows that how you can also transition into something as fluid and organic as drawing on silk. And I'm telling you, know, maybe you're just a really good person at choosing colors, but the colors on this stuff is amazing. I think color is very important. As a teacher, I do too. As a teacher, one of the biggest things that I taught was color theory, and you have to know what color goes with what color, and you use the color schemes, the triads and the tetrads and the double split complements and so forth, and all of those seem to work. And then also, if you're doing fashion, you have to be concerned about the colors of the day. When we spoke about that earlier, about now you've got the turquoise, what plays and to your eye, orange and the pink, and so if you want to sell your work, and believe it or not, my scarves are selling as fast as I can make them. I would believe that, because I'm thinking about knocking you in the head and running off with these after the show is over. We've got just a minute left. If people are more interested in your work, of course you need to come to the main library on Poplar, but a couple of galleries? Right now I sell my paintings in Memphis, excuse me, at Palladio Antiques and Art on Central. Oh, I love that. And then also I sell them at the Sarah Howell Gallery in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Oh, and I just chose 2 locations because first of all, I'm grateful that they're giving me an opportunity to sell them there, but you know exactly where to get them. But I have a website, rollinkocsis.com, and you can see my work there. And you need to look at it because it's absolutely amazing. Would something like this hold up if you wanted to use it for a curtain? Yes, and here's the thing about silk. You can wash it, you can hand wash it, you can have it dry cleaned. Just get some mild soap and water, and I mean, it's just, people think it's, you know, it's so precious, but it's really very, very durable. It's just like your hair. It's a protein fiber. It's absolutely amazing. You need to come and be inspired, and there are ways to live with art and color even if you didn't get out of drawing class like me. Other people are doing it, and it can feed your soul. You need to get to the library, see Rollin's show here. It's all during the month of June in the public gallery, and also then you can go look up some silk. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you very much.